Oh my God. Tanga una my country people. Nigeria call, make una answer. Make we work for our papa land, yo. With all our love and power and faith. All the suffer where our papa them don't suffer. You no go ever waste our time, yo. Make we carry our country with all our power.
The very important point I think to take away from this presentation again is that violence and all of those things are fueled by other things.
Yes.
Violence, insecurity is a symptom of a deeper malaise, and one of the major ones is economic challenges that people face. And so it's a very important point to hold on to, and as we go into conversation, is how can we have major strategies for youth development. I know that the word empowerment is light. I don't like it. Empowerment feels like a handout. You know, you really provide people the capacity to build and produce and grow. I hope we can find ways to do that and create jobs massively for our young people.
Yes.
Educate them properly and give them outlets, and then we reap a demographic dividend rather than a violence. The governor of Anambra State. Mr. Governor.
Thank you very much, Pat and the team. Good afternoon, my colleagues and people in the Secretariat. I'll be making this presentation ex-tempo and with every humility. It's not to brag or do anything, but to humbly state what I've been able to do. But before I start, I think it is proper for you to have in perspective what Anambra was like security-wise before 2014 I took over. The armed robbery was very rampant. Kidnapping was very, very rampant. They will write you and tell you the day they are coming, and that day they will come. And if you don't do what is needful, you get injured. And many businessmen in Anambra State disappeared from Anambra. Some were killed, some went away with their families to Lagos and other places. And when I became governor in 2014, my first consideration was that nothing will succeed without security. So I gave it my first all when I started. What did I do? I quickly established the vigilante law. And again, the police were not motivated. The psychology before I came was the criminals had the day. People were very afraid to do anything. So I believe that for me to succeed, I must change that psychology. By the way, I started from my village, Aguleri. Two of my friends, not my friends, we grew up together, those guys, they were part of the kidnappers, and they were the first set of people that were killed in gun battle with the police, because I warned them and that I don't take prisoners if they don't, and that sent a very loud signal to everywhere that this man is a no-nonsense man. In about 4 months, I began to restore the people's confidence, and some of our people started coming home gradually, before, most people don't come for Christmas. Burials were done in Lagos. Marriages were done in Lagos. They just come to Anambra, take sand, and go to Lagos and put it there, and they do everything there. And I felt that is not the way to live.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I would want to welcome you back to Jos, because you are always talking about Jos. Jos is still a very lovely place, in spite of things that happened a few years ago. Organized crimes such as banditry and deadly attacks against communities, armed robbery, kidnapping, insurgency, as well as communal conflicts, which are responsible for the high rate of insecurity. Now, this is the graph at that time. You will see number one graph, that's the effort of the vigilante groups. The Hunters Association, the Operation Rainbow, that's an outfit created as a security outfit in Plateau. Very wonderful outfit. The volunteer NSCDC, Security and Civil Defense, and then the Neighborhood Watch. The crime profile in the new normal. You will see armed robbery taking a very high stage. You see kidnapping and a little of cattle wrestling now because we handle that. Then culpable homicide and murder-related killings was on the rise. You had the house breaking and theft, and then, of course, farmer-herder conflict and crop destruction. The success recorded was as a result of complementary roles played by traditional and religious leaders, community-based associations, media, civil society, and development partners. For us in Plateau, we had to creatively adapt to the new normal by utilizing ICT for security and peace building. The utilization of ICT in monitoring our borders during the period of restriction of vehicular movement assisted us greatly. Endorse community policing as a veritable security option to complement the existing structures. Coincidentally, the federal government rolled out the implementation of the community policing plan during the pandemic, and I was one of the first governors to inaugurate the State Advisory Committee, headed by the chairman of the Traditional Council of Chiefs and Emirs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellencies, my distinguished colleagues, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me, first of all, appreciate the Center for Values and Leadership and the Governors Forum for this opportunity. Nigeria as a country is experiencing issues of insecurity ranging from kidnapping, armed robbery, farmers flooding, herders conflict, courtesan, cattle rustling, and armed banditry, land boundary disputes, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, terrorism, militancy, cybercrimes, amongst other heinous crimes. Benue State, being a part of the entity of Nigeria, is not exempted from these issues of insecurity. Three, these lingering issues of insecurity have negatively impacted on the socio-economic growth of the state. The most affected is the agricultural sector, where the continuous invasion of local communities, killings, and displacement of farmers from their ancestral homes, ranching of cattle as the most effective way of preventing constant crisis between farmers and Fulani herdsmen. We have no problem with these people, but these people come with AK-47 and are terrorizing everybody. They go to your houses and do all kinds of things. From herdsmen, they have become kidnappers. They are responsible. In all our communities when kidnappers are arrested, the communities, the bad boys there work with the herdsmen who have arms to supply them. So for Nigeria to move forward, for Benue State and other states to have peace about herdsmen and farmers' crisis, we must adopt global best practice. I don't know what is happening. Sometimes officials of government at the federal level prefer that it should be Ruga, it should be cattle colony, it should be this one and that. When the actual best practice is ranching. Ranching will solve this problem once and for all.
Since I came into the office, so when I assumed duty as the chief steward of Nasarawa State, the areas that we inherited of insecurity were actually kidnappings, highway armed robbery, banditry, rape, and then this farmer-herder crisis. The farmer-herder crisis were mostly around the border areas with Benue State. And like the governor of Benue clearly mentioned, in Benue they do have this anti-open grazing law. In Nasarawa, we don't. So what happened is that majority of the Fulanis that couldn't go to Benue, to ranch, they actually run back to Nasarawa State. That's where they come in. So as they as they run to National State for grazing, one of the problems will be to run into a lot of farms and they run into some of those problems. And a lot of them also come with a lot of enmity, and anger against the chief people in Benue. And so we now have another ethnic crisis, especially at the border. So those were the kinds of issues that I inherited when I came in. Every governor is doing the same. I'm telling you, there is no exception. If you want to succeed as a governor, you must support the security agencies. You must develop your own local security agencies. You must find ways, to find criminality. If you don't do that, there is no way to succeed. So for us in Nassau State, we started approaching from one, consultations and peace building. My consultation started by making the trip to Benue. When I became the governor, I gathered a very high-powered delegation, of traditional rulers, security agencies, community leaders, religious leaders, and all of them went to Benue to go and find out from Benue, how do we live with one another in peace at these borders?
Yeah, so what I'm saying first, I have to thank you, Rob, and the Progressive Governance Forum for putting this all together. And I think basically the governors have captured almost all the issues. And in Jigawa, safe and we are relatively secured compared to what is happening in the nation and our position. Neighboring Yobe and Bauchi from the northeast, and also Kano and Katsina from the northwest. But I have to thank the leaders that have inherited. They have done wonderfully well in putting robust security measures in the state. First of all, we have a very, very robust intelligence gathering in the state, including the traditional rulers and all strata. And we get feedback on who comes in and who goes out. And that helps us greatly to assess who comes in or who goes out or what is doing.
I think the most important thing that we need to do is how can we close the gap, the deficit between the Nigerian military, the trust deficit between the Nigerian military and the population. And most importantly, there is need for us to address the root causes of the insurgency, which are not limited to direct poverty, but basic illiteracy and unemployment, among others. Right now, one of our major concerns are that population are unable to return to their homes. There is growing development that hinders farmers to their farmlands. So access to their farmland is also another big problem. So the great challenge that we're having now is that of unemployment. How can the population have access to their farmlands? How can they get use of their livelihood? Because right now what is going on is the issue of recruitment or more members. But the most important thing is that how can we mobilize the community to defend themselves, to supplement the efforts of the Nigerian military? Because I think the community know better of the terrain and others. And the most important thing that I wanted to talk is that the military are always complaining of lack of manpower. There's a need for us to now supplement the efforts of the Nigerian military by allowing the Nigerian police to carry some heavy weapons like the AA guns, personal carriers, among others, to supplement the efforts of the Nigerian military. No human population in the shores of Lake Chad. There is infiltration of arms and ammunition into Nigeria. I want to assure you that the Boko Haram, the headquarters of the Boko Haram, as well as other insurgents in Nigeria, both from northwest and north central, is the shores of the Lake Chad. So the only way we can get rid of this problem is to ensure that our military and others will occupy the shores of the Lake Chad. I'm in hurry trying to attend another meeting with the Chief of Naval Staff as well as Chief of Air Staff. Thank you very much.
Is the struggle to include everyone. Kebbi State, like many other states, particularly what the governor from the perspective of my predecessors, and the conflict-causing behavior largely comes from competition for resources between farmers, fishing communities, and those in the animal husbandry sector. And therefore, including everyone requires a careful calibration of the need of everyone, so that as we support one sector, we are mindful about its effect on other sectors and the need to also look out for them.
Yeah, let me just say this is a great outing, and we thank the Prof for setting this up. Honestly, I have listened to the governors, and it is very wonderful to see the efforts many of them are making. And I would like to just summarize, if you engage and involve the people, there will be a level at which the criminals cannot operate. If you run governance in exclusivity without involving the people, you'll be working in abstract, you don't get the kind of cooperation you deserve and you desire. Resources are very lean in many of the states, so getting money to do most of the work is not there. But if you involve the people and the people on the process, you will have a situation where the gap is limited and the level at which government comes in will be maybe just mere funding, little funding here and there. And the second thing is that the governor of Benue for me has made a very big point that this federal system we're operating can work if people take time to enact laws that address the specific interests and needs of the citizens. Not to talk of just buying motorcycles, which is what some of them continue to do, buy motorcycles and distribute as empowerment ventures, and then you have not addressed the real issues that affect the people. The truth remains that when there is no security, there is no level of development that you can bring to any community or any society. In my state, for instance, the state Kaduna that used to be home to everybody is now a sorry place where even military vehicles or travelers, armed men in the armed forces are afraid to travel from Abuja to Kaduna by road.
Because time is out already, really, let me take a couple of questions. Let's say, Mrs. Bola Adetula, Bola Oshibodu Adetula, take a question.
I am a Nigerian. I live in Lagos. I'm only here in America temporarily because of the pandemic. I was stopped. If all these beautiful presentations are already in place, we, the citizenry in Nigeria, we are not feeling it. I have to tell you the truth. So I don't know. I think it's the same thing. Governance is about telling us what they are doing, but where the citizens are not feeling the impact. So what do? We are still all very scared and afraid. We are afraid to go out. We are afraid to sleep. Every home in Nigeria is now a local government area because we have to provide for our security and everything.
Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate and I want to commend the effort of all the governors. But one thing that bothers me most, and none of the governors has mentioned, is the first security challenge and the first security issue we have in the whole world. And God demonstrated this, and that was the first thing he did. Talking about the issue of electricity. What are the governors doing concerning electricity? They need electricity to power the walkie-talkie, the gadgets, the cellulars, the communication kits of all these policemen. If they even have a walkie-talkie. In the night, there is electricity. There will be reduced evil, havoc being committed. For instance, here where I live in the Philippines, I can pick up my car now, it's about 12 midnight, and still drive as far as 10-15 kilometers without being scared. Why? Because there is electricity, there is light everywhere. The governor, Obiano, has rightly said a lot of things, which because of my time I might not make comment about. But what are these governors doing concerning rural electrifications?
Okay, that's true. I have not had light for 4 days in a row. I live in Ikoyi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for creating this platform for us to at least enlighten ourselves a little on topical issues of this nature. For Kogi State, I'm sure before I came on board in 2016, January 27th, Kogi State used to be the hotbed of kidnappers, armed robbers, and all forms of criminality in the country. And we all know that Kogi State have the highest number of borders. 9 states plus FCT making it 10. We have river bodies, mountains, and the rest. We came on board and we reduced it from 100% to just about 20 or even 15%. Now, if we condemn what we have, however bad it is, or however good it is, nobody's going to buy it 1 kobo. There are several forms of insecurity even in that US, but you'll never hear CNN bringing it out there. You will never see or hear social activists. They will rather say, America is great. America is great, despite their challenges. Let us appreciate our country. Let us engage in constructive criticism, because there are some of us who does not have one house outside the shores of this country. We're doing our best to ensure that Nigeria is the best. And somebody like me, I will never, even if you dash me, even a kiosk outside the shores of this country, I will never take it. And I have only 1 passport. And I know same of a lot of governors and a lot of our government officials and Nigerians.
Make we carry our country with all our power. Our country, Nigeria, you know, go ever scatter. Oh, peace and unity. Peace and unity. Somebody help me sing that long song. Peace and unity. Peace and unity in our country. Peace and unity. God bless Nigeria.